Yo, what's good my fellow Magic Knights? It is your boy DEADMANVINCE back with yet another Black Clover mobile video. Today I'm actually going to be doing, preface. The first anniversary is going to be coming out in literally a month from now. Like the 25th is when the game dropped, May 25th last year. So May 25th is a month away now, and we're about to be on our first anniversary. Very exciting, very excited. And so far all we know is that we're getting level 125. So before level 125 comes out and every single character in the game gets a new like passive added on, because every character can go level 125, and once you get to level 125 you get a new passive. And also with the supposedly Valkyrie armor Noelle coming out for the anniversary, I want to make a video kind of like giving my opinions on every single mage in the game before the meta shifts drastically, I feel like. So yeah, if you guys like tier list, then lock in the tiers that we have today. Let me remove myself real quick just so I can show you the tier here. We have Fifth Leaf Activity. Fifth Leaf Activity is going to be like Asta level. Like, you are an absolute menace, an absolute demon, cannot be stopped no matter what the circumstance. It's funny, in Black Clover they say the fifth leaf means there's a devil in your grimoire. I think the fifth leaf means that even if there was a demon that popped up on you, you're running that man's hands up. So fifth leaf activity is the highest tier. Then we have Wizard King level, because obviously Asta is somebody who's supposed to surpass the Wizard King. That's the point of the story, right? So Wizard King level will be the next like step under, because Asta's already done some Wizard King level like feats. Then you have a solid choice. Like, they're not, so fifth leaf activity means like it doesn't matter what team you throw them on, they will dominate no matter the situation. Wizard King level is like, they're good most of the time. There are a few exceptions to where like they can get cheese, but like fifth leaf activity is like, you can't get cheese unless you're just fighting a stronger like version of that character, to be honest. Solid choice is more like after I've put all the crucial mages that I need on the team, these are the mages that I'm looking for like afterwards, like the secondary like layer of mages I'm looking for. Not the best, obviously, not the best, not the worst either though. So like, it's like if you have the character and you have no other options, you can work on them if you want to. I would hold off and maybe see if you can get some other characters in your possession first. Then you have Vic Gaming. Why? Vic Gaming is like, why did you even make this unit the way that you did? But now that we have like an explanation for the tiers, we can go ahead and kind of get into it. And also guys, I just kind of want you to know that I do plan to make like a tier list with every single character in the game, but like or every SSR in the game. But like, that's a very daunting task. There are 54 SSRs in the game right now, and I feel like this will kind of help me kind of break it up, and then I can, you know, get to doing like the overall thing. It helps me to kind of collect my thoughts in different categories, because when you're doing a tier list with everybody, you kind of have to think about everybody compared to everybody, right? So you got to think about a healer compared to a debuffer, compared to a tank, compared to an attacker, and like I'd rather compare mages that are in the same category first, which would then make it easier for me to do an overall ranking of everything all together. But I'm gonna just go down the line. It's in alphabetical order for the most part. I'm gonna start off with Season 1 Asta. Season 1 Asta. Now, when Season 1 Asta first came out, I was actually a stickler for him. You can't see, he's down here in Vic Gaming Y right now, but now he's not staying there. I'm just explaining. When I first got my hands on Asta here, I wasn't really too enthused by him, but it was more so because I had the red Yami. Honestly, let me try to fix my camera real quick, because it looks like I'm just cutting off a big chunk of the tier list. Okay, that's much better. But yeah, whenever Season 1 Asta had first dropped, I'm gonna go ahead and just drop him right here in solid choice. Whenever Season 1 Asta had dropped, it was during a time at the start of the game, right? He's the first season. And Red Yami was out, and Red Yami, in my opinion, was leagues better than Asta as an option, because he had AoEs on his basic attack, which means that like, even if I'm silenced or anything, I can still do damage to an entire enemy like line, right? I have, you know, you have bleed in Yami's kit, you have stuns in Yami's kit if the enemy's bleeding. So Asta wasn't somebody that I was thinking to use, but Asta does have a really cool feature where if you attack somebody whose HP is above 80%, you can actually get an additional turn after that, which helps him to get some pretty like decent damage out, if I do say so myself. Obviously you gotta build them right. Asta characters are very peculiar in the fact that they don't have magic attack at all, so you want to make sure that you're getting like absolutely all physical attack rolls on him if you're getting any sort of attack rolls. Sometimes if you're a free-to-play player, I can understand working on gear being a little tedious for you, and sometimes you might not have the materials you need, so that is one thing to consider. I'm thinking about it from all aspects, right? If you have a piece of gear and you don't have the stones to reroll the substats, you have a substat that's magical attack that is wasted stats on an Asta in general. That's not just for this Asta, that's for any Asta in the game, right? But even still, I think Asta is a very solid choice. He does very good damage. He has decent enough speed to where he can get his attacks in pretty early, and that extra attack gives him like an extra little edge, so I will leave him in the solid choice tier. Next up we have Season 5 Charmy here. Season 5 Charmy. I'm gonna throw her as another solid choice right now. Season 5 Charmy is not somebody, and I want to preface this with, let me look at this list real quick. I have literally used every single one of these characters in some capacity. Season 5 Charmy, I've used her. She's not let me down per se, but also has not really impressed me. I feel like she's just a very average like mage. A lot of characters people will say is like, oh my god, they're the greatest, whatever, like whenever they come out, right? But you gotta think, whenever they come out, they are the newest thing in the game. We're now talking about Season 5 is when she came out. We're now all the way up to Season 11 currently right now, and we're literally 1 month away from the first anniversary. So Charmy has had some time to kind of like have her limelight, but I feel like all in all, she's probably not that crazy. She does have a pretty cool effect where she can put like it's like pumpkin pie, right? Pumpkin pie effect goes onto an enemy and then it just jumps around different enemies, and when it stacks up to a certain number, it does really big pumpkin pie. When 5 turns pass after applying this effect, deals 600% of attack and magical attack as damage dealt, and then removes it after applying it. At the start of every turn, increases damage dealt by pumpkin pie. If an enemy under this effect starts the turn, transfers the pumpkin pie effect to a random teammate on their side. Now, 600% extra damage is really cool, but the problem is that you have to wait for that to come over 5 turns. You want to be winning these dungeons faster than that. 1, to save your time. 2, because you have a lot more options for strong attackers who can do the things that she will do in less than 5 turns. That's why I say she's a solid choice. I'm not going to put her in not the best, because when she came out, she was very impressive. She was really good for Guild Boss when she came out, and she still works for Guild Boss, but okay, she still works for Guild Boss, but even still, I'd say that she's like a solid, like, middle ground kind of like choice. And also, another thing to think about is some characters are made for PvE, some characters are made for PvP, right? Charmy feels like a character that kind of wasn't leaning too hard one of which way, which I like characters like that, actually. Believe it or not, you know, unpopular opinion, characters who are made specifically for PvP or PvE, I don't like, because if you want to use them in all aspects of the game, you're already kind of getting cut off by 50% of the aspects you could have used them in. Not necessarily all the way cut off, but like think about somebody like Rhya, who we'll get to later. Rhya is supposed to be like the dominant in PvP, but isn't always the best option for PvE. But I'll explain more on that when I get to him. But yeah, Charmy, get solid choice. We're gonna leave her there. Fana. And I have to be like fair and think about right now terms, right? So I can't let my favoritism take over anything. Fana, like original Fana, I'm gonna have to throw her in solid choice. Solid choice. The solid choice, like, there's a lot of mages in the game that aren't bad, but they're not the best. There's a lot of just average mages in the game. You'll notice that a lot in these tier lists. I feel like these 3 are like average, right? So Fana, when she came out, was insane. She did so much crazy damage, crazy burn. Fana was everything for me, man. When Fana came out with Licht, everybody was summoning for Licht, and I was like, I don't care about PvP, and I summoned for Fana, and it paid off. She made my farming experience so much better. Some of the things that are kind of like cutbacks for Fana is she's an older DPS, so she can be a bit squishy at times, and she can get hit really hard. Fana also has Fana can lifesteal, but let me read it. If an enemy is taking burn damage, you can lifesteal with Fana's skill 2. 50% chance to inflict burn on the enemy. So Fana needs something in her kit that automatically gets enemies burned as soon as the fight starts off if you want this skill 2 to be useful. because you can burn enemies with the skill 1, but there's only a 60% chance of it, so it's not guaranteed. Fana's ultimate does not burn at all, and Fana's combo skill does not ultimate either, unless you're using the combo skill with Veto, which Veto's an ass character, so you shouldn't be using Veto in the first place. Also, Fana gets 15% increased damage dealt when her health is 100% or higher. If this were like when her health is because like the healers in the game are incredible, right? But like if you get caught on a chance that Fana's not at exactly 100% you're attacking, you're missing out on 15% increased damage, right? If this says something along the lines of when health is equal to 80% or higher, this will be so much better. Also, Fana has increased favor damage for her passive, which is very basic as a passive, if you ask me. But yeah, like her only 2 moves that do burn are her skill 1 and her skill 2. When you're always trying to do her ultimate, you're always trying to do her skill 2. Those are like the big damage moves. Eventually you circle back around to the skill 1, but usually I'm trying to get the other moves in first. So I feel like maybe they should have put burn on Fana's ultimate, so as soon as the fight starts on the first turn, I feel like if you're fast enough, or if you have a speed buffer on your team, that is your best chance to get like that turn off of Fana where she has 100% HP, right? If Fana's ultimate burned, she would probably be Wizard King level like till this day. Because if her ultimate burned, you do her ultimate, you get an increased all attack level 2, you'd also get 15% increased damage dealt because her health is 100% on the first turn before anybody touches her. Then you also have burn, so you come back around for that second turn after somebody does hit her, you can get that life steal and get your health back. But I just don't like the way that the burn is like distributed throughout her kit. So I think she could have been better from that regard, but like she was still a great choice whenever she came out. So I'd leave Fana in the solid choice tier. Okay, we have V2 Fana, or Third Eye Fana, Fana the Hateful, as everybody likes to say, right? I'm actually throwing her in Wizard King level. Now, I have my gripes with Hateful Fana. I don't like the fact that whenever she reaches 5 stacks of hatred, she goes down to 1 HP automatically. You could, if your Fana's having a good time, she has a shield up and everything, and she has 100% health, this could literally drop you to 1 HP for no reason. And the problem with it isn't the fact, because you have healers, right? The problem with it is you drop yourself to 1 HP, you get that 1 turn of immortality, then afterwards, if you don't kill everything in front of you and go to the next wave where you're guaranteed to heal back 50% of Fana's health, you have a chance of getting swiped right there where your health is still low. If you have a healer, you can kind of counteract that, but still, dropping your health to like 1% is not my favorite. Also, I will say that her ultimate hits so hard when you get 5 stacks of hatred. Like Fana is DPS kind of like done right? You have your defensive option. You have the immortality once she gets to her peak. Like, she works her way up to her peak damage potential, and then when she reaches her peak damage potential, so you can at least get that hit off, she gets immortality. Now, there are mages in the game who can take away immortality, but they're not super high tier and tier list. Like just who I'm thinking of right now, they're not super high tier and tier list. So Fana does kind of have like a little saving grace right there in that. Also, Fana has a ton. I don't know if I like her taunting because she's so squishy, but her skill 2 is an AoE and it gives 2 stacks of hatred. Her skill 1 is a single target, it gives 1 stack of hatred, but you can do an extra attack based on how many stacks of hatred you have. So all in all, I say Fana is doing pretty good. V2 Fana is doing pretty good damage all around and has some form of saving herself so she can at least get that big damage out on you before she's gone. Leave her mark on the fight, if you say. Next up, we have Fuego. Now, Fuego was a unit that I was not happy with when I first started. Usually, old Deadman would have put Fuego here in Big Gaming. Why? I would say that Fuego is not the best, but absolutely not the worst. There's worse than Fuego. I will admit it. It just is what it is. Sometimes you got to take time to really like evolve and marinate on your thoughts, and eventually it turns into something like greater. You wisen up and get a newer understanding, right? Fuego, I have had to use in some events. Sometimes he's not the absolute worst thing. He definitely could be way better, but he's not the worst thing. And also, guys, after I get everybody in their correct like tiers, I'm gonna go back and kind of work the tiers and put everybody in like the right place. So my problem with Fuego is his skill 1. Let's see. grants after his skill 1 has a 30% increased damage dealt. Where is it? 50% chance to inflict burn on the enemy. Attacks after giving increased penetration level 2. If the enemy is taking continuous damage, attacks after granting 40% increased damage. If the enemy is inflicted with debuff. Looking through Fuego's kit, it just feels like, let's see, at 2 stars, he grants 3.5 increased damage dealt, 3.5% increased damage dealt, and 5% increased penetration when attacking a burned enemy. Then grants 7% increased damage dealt and 10% penetration when attacking a burned enemy at 5 star. Something about Fuego, man, like actually using him, he doesn't go as hard as you think he would. And I just feel like when I read his kit, I want a little more, you know? Like I feel like there's a little bit missing there, man. I'm just like, dude, if you had, let's see, if he had burn on his skill 1, that would be great. His ultimate has skill 1, his skill 2 has skill 1. Like I just feel like the effects that work the best for a character should be on the skills that they use the most, and like skill 1 is the skill you use the most. Like that's just, I don't know, that's how I feel. Like extra crit if the enemy's burning gives him a, I don't know, man. I don't know. I feel like Fuego needs more burn. He only has a 50% chance to burn on his skill 2 at that. He's guaranteed to burn on his ultimate, but his ultimate can only be used once every 8 turns unless you're building a team around the idea, the concept of trying to keep spamming ultimates, right? Then different story, but like I'm not trying to do a team like that just to spam Fuego's ultimate, you know what I'm saying? By the point that I'm building a team to spam a character's ultimates, I'm looking at different characters that I'm trying to spam their ultimates. Fuego just feels like underwhelming. Before I would say unimpressive. I think I still would say unimpressive. Underwhelming is how I feel, but absolute dog shit is not what I can say anymore. I won't say Fuego's absolute dog shit. He does still have like decent enough damage, but like when I put Fuego on a team, I will tell you right now, I've already looked through all the other options first, and I'm like, okay, maybe this won't work, maybe this won't work, maybe this won't work. And that's because they probably have like an extra effect that is being canceled out by the event we're doing or whatever, but like Fuego, I don't know. He just isn't the best to me, in my opinion. Now, let's talk about Season 4 Fuegoleon. And you'll notice a theme. Usually when the first iteration of the character is really bad, I will sometimes give extra brownie points to the newer version of that character. Do I want to put him in Wizard King level? Let's see. Let's talk it out. Let's leave him in Wizard King level and talk out why I want to put him in Wizard King level. Because, 1, his skill 1 burns, guaranteed, cool, no questions about it. His skill 2 burns, guaranteed, no questions about it. And inflicts an extra burn on a random enemy that you didn't even have to aim at. Skill 1 and 2 are both single targets. Now, the ultimate. Based on the number of burn stacks affecting the target, inflicts an increased damage taken debuff on him before attacking. So you choose a designated enemy and they get extra damage taken. Then, if there's 1 stack of burn, you get 20% increased damage taken, 2 stacks of burn, 75% increased damage taken, 3 stacks of burn, 220% increased damage taken, and then dispels all stacks of burn, and dispels a barrier from a target before attacking. Now, all this extra damage that I said is aimed at one specific character of your choice. You dispel the barrier on that specific character as well, but everybody else is still going to be getting hit with a pretty powerful AoE. Now, Fuego's passive is 5% increased damage dealt for each stack of burn on the enemy. If you have him 5 stars, 15% increased damage dealt for each stack of burn on the enemy. So, if every enemy on the team, in PvP for instance, if every enemy on the team has 1 stack of burn, Fuego is giving himself 60% extra increased damage dealt if he's 5 star. That's ridiculous. See, Fuego has burn, and Fuego has more burn in his kit, and I say more burn because the other Fuego only had 2 moves with burn, but the difference is this Fuego doesn't have burn on his ultimate. He doesn't need burn on his ultimate because he has burn everywhere else, and the burn on the other skills is guaranteed. They may be single targets, but one really scary combo is when you put Fuego with Leona. Leona gets hit early on because she taunts the strongest attacker. Everybody on the enemy team automatically has burn. From that point on, Fuego is a demon. Literally, from that point on, you can do whatever you want. Fuego is going to start doing big damage here, there, wherever he wants to. But Fuego is actually pretty solid for the fact that he has guaranteed burn, in easier to reach places, and gives extra damage for burn. Also, he gives himself immortality if you get him below 30% HP one time in battle. That's also pretty good because sometimes people can target Fuego like really quickly, really early on, and then that immortality saves him just enough time to get you that ultimate out and get a lot of damage before he's taken off the map. I'm gonna leave Fuego Wizard King level. Also, these two burn units right here, I feel like this is a fair breakdown here because this Fana is too squishy. This Fana is squishy as well, but has her immortality. That doesn't have to come from getting into a low HP threshold, and she does much more damage than this Fana. Like, the damage output is insane on this Fana, especially with the hatred stacks. This Charmy takes 5 turns to get her thing going. This Fuego could take 1 turn if you have Leona, to be honest with you. And Leona is a good character that people summoned for and are possibly summoning for in the next month here because she's coming up next month. Now, let's get to Jack. I have to be honest. I love Jack as a character, and I love to defend Jack whenever the game first started and everybody said he was good, but I gotta admit, he is not the best. He's a character that you want to build around like penetration. He has bleed on his single target first skill. His second skill is just a buff. It increases his penetration, his crit rate, his speed, and grants defense penetration as well. So Jack is a very, not as selfish as Langris, but Jack is a very selfish character. He's just looking to buff himself, give himself the buffs that he needs to do big damage. You want to build him penetration, which penetration is interesting. I'll say that. I'll leave it at that for now. But Jack is not the best, but I still do like him as a character. But like I said, I can't let my biases dictate where characters are going on this list. I have to be legitimate in my rationalization, right? And I don't think that Jack is doing too hot here, but it's okay because he'll get some form of like awakening later on or something like that, and you know, he'll be improved to some degree, but who knows how well he'll be improved. But yeah, he definitely needs some work. What I would say for Jack is maybe if he had higher damage multipliers for one, that'd be great. I don't know. Jack there's just a lot of better options. Like, yeah, I'd say all 5 of these guys right here are all better than Jack right here. Fuego, I'm not too sure. They're in the same tier. I gotta redo the tier, but like this Jack right here is also going to go in not the best, but that's because this Jack's actually pretty good, but he's actually a sweaty character. Like, you actually got to have him maxed out to have him like do really well. Let's see. Because you want to get 3 basically this Jack's whole gimmick is you want to get 3 stacks of miscalculation, because miscalculated stacks up to 3 times, I'm pretty sure. Let's see. Miscalculation, where's the miscalculation? When using a special move, additionally attack a random target per stack of miscalculation up to 3 stacks. If you had this Jack absolutely maxed out with absolutely high tier damage, and you got your 3 stacks of miscalculation, if you use this ultimate, you do 1 initial attack on somebody that could hit really hard, then you have 3 random attacks being dished out somewhere else. If your Jack is built really well, each one of those 3 attacks could probably like just one-tap the other 3 people who are still alive. But that is if you want to put in all the work that you need to put in for him. How much work do you need to put in for him? Not only do you need to do all the regular like character growth situation, you know, getting the level 100 LR, getting him 5-star, blah, blah, blah. The reason why I say it's expensive is because at 2 stars, he gets 1 stack of miscalculation. And at 5 stars, he has 2 stacks of miscalculation automatically starting out in the fight. Even with starting out 2 stacks of miscalculation, when Jack uses his skill 2, he gets 1 stack of miscalculation. So, this is why he's expensive. If your Jack is only 2-star, you're going to come into a battle, you're going to do your skill 2, you're going to get 1 stack of miscalculation, you're going to already have 1 stack of miscalculation. The problem with that is that you're only going to have 2 stacks of miscalculation, you have to wait 2 turns, 1 turn if you're lucky, for your second skill to come back, or if you have somebody who can like make skill 2 cool down, like, no, it just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. You need the 5-star Jack, so you start out with 2 stacks of miscalculation, so you can automatically use your skill 2 and get up to 3 stacks of miscalculation, because Jack is squishy, he will die. I'm going to tell you right now, he will die. You want to have 3 stacks of miscalculation as fast as you possibly can. If he had the same effect, but it wasn't locked behind him being 5-star, then maybe he could go right here, a solid choice. But since it's locked behind being 5-star, and that is literally a premium sweaty thing, like I gotta leave him in not the best. Julius Julius is only solid choice level, I feel. Julius is only solid choice level. We have I'm trying to think really hard about this one. So I've kind of soured on Julius, because compared to the rest of the limited characters, Julius is the worst of the pack, for certain, but when you're talking about attackers, man, oh man, this is kind of hard. Yes, I'll do Wizard King level. I'll do Wizard King level for Julius. Not because he's the Wizard King, but because his damage is still impressive. He still does have a revive. The only problem is that Julius, if he gets one tapped once, he comes back and then he just get one tapped again and he's gone. Julius takes 2 hits to defeat. When you're looking at a character in defensive mechanics, you want something that is going to give character like a lot of turns to last, right? Immortality, I can take hits from, if the entire enemy team attack Fana on the turn she was immortal, she could take all of those hits, which would normally be 1-shot damage, and still survive to her next turn. Julius is different in the sense that if Julius gets hit by one enemy and gets one tapped, which I do all the time in PvP with Green Yami, Julius will get one tapped, then he'll come back, and then I get my Witch Queen's ultimate off, and then I do Asta's skill 2, and then Julius is dead before he can even get an attack off. But when Julius does get an attack off, he does do impressive things. He can stun an enemy, or if he kills an enemy, he can get an extra turn. I do like that feature very much. When he does his skill 2, you can choose the specific enemy, lower their speed to 0 or stamina to 0, and there's a chance to lower everybody else's speed or stamina, right? His skill 1, like even Julius' skill 1 hits relatively hard as well. Like Julius has good things in his kit. I just soured on him from a perspective of like a limited character. I feel like he could have been better. He was great for the time that he came out, but like just what he stacked up against, he's just not doing the best at this point. Kiato, solid choice. Kiato actually has really good damage. He has a way to just keep buffing himself over and over again with his idol debut and his exciting dance and all that. He buffs himself up. He can do really big damage, but at the end of the day, it does take a little bit of time for him to build up. Oh man, I kind of want to start moving people around within the tiers already, but I'll wait till I get everybody on the tier list first. But yeah, Kiato is a solid choice actually. I would say that Kiato was incredible when he came out, because Kiato came out right after Julius or right before, I can't remember, but Kiato and Kahana came out either right before or right after Julius. And no, it was right before, I think. And Julius was at large a menace, just running rampant in the game in PvP. Kiato was my only defense against Julius. Pretty much turn 1, Kiato ult Julius, Julius dies, Julius comes back, then you just kind of like take Julius away again, doing regular skills throughout your turns, right? But like getting that guaranteed first turn kill on Julius so he doesn't have a revive later on in the fight was always a big thing, and Kiato was always that for me. He, like I said, very good damage, buffs himself. He gives himself a little bit of defensive capability as well after you get him stacked up to a certain degree, but that does take a couple of turns, kind of like the same case as like, not the same case as Charmy, but like just taking a couple turns to build, kind of like Charmy, right? Langris, Langris is going to be our first Vic Gaming. Why? So, I've used Langris before. His damage is not that impressive that he should be built the way that he is. This man gives his allies reduced healing received. This man steals SP from allies. He's very selfish, but it's not even selfish in the sense that he's only working for himself. He's selfish in the sense that like he's literally stealing from allies. Stealing SP is terrible, absolutely terrible. For a damage that's not even that impressive, he gives himself a full heal when he does his if you have him 5-star, he gives himself a full heal when he does his ultimate. But he has all these things to give him extra SP and everything, but still needs to steal SP. I don't understand. It's like kind of like in Dokkan when you have those characters, those units. that reduce their defense at a certain part of the kit. Like, think about Super Saiyan 3 Broly. When he does a super attack, he reduces defense by like 30% or something like that. Dumbest shit I've ever seen in my life. Or like characters who sacrifice 5% HP, 8% HP, 7% HP whenever they do their ultimate. Dumbest shit I've ever seen in my life. Why are we doing things that are counterproductive? Like, you didn't have to make him an absolute god, but you could have definitely given him some stuff that he wasn't taking away from his allies. That was just asinine. That was stupid. I don't know. But yeah, Langris is definitely not my first choice. Langris, I am avoiding Langris like the plague. Whenever I'm building a team, Langris is getting hard avoided always, no matter the occasion. Langris doesn't make sense in my head. Next up we have Leopold, and honestly, it's been so long since I've looked at Leopold and used him. Oh yeah, no, Leopold's a Vic Gaming Y. Leopold is a hard Vic Gaming Y. He only has burn on one skill, and it's a 50% chance to burn. Oh yeah, no, I don't like that. He only has one chance to burn, and burn isn't like the end all be all effect in the game, but like when a character has burn in their kit, I expect them to work well with burn. Season 4 Fuego works really well with his burn. Fana works really well, or Fana doesn't, the burn doesn't even matter. Her damage is just ridiculous, right? But this Leopold has burn on one move in his kit, and it's a 50% chance to do burn. If you have his skill page, there's a separate 40% chance. So 2 very low percent chances to burn enemies. He has lifesteal built in his kit, but I feel like Leopold's the type of character that you're not gonna be doing really crazy big brain damage just for these crazy heals. Like, nah, I don't see that. I don't see that at all, man. I don't know what they were thinking with Leopold. And granted, Leopold is a case of a character who I've used before, but I've used for something very like simple, very like menial. So like I haven't used him in like really big term, like crazy events. I think I maybe tried to use him in Guild Boss before, but I feel like his damage just doesn't add up to him having lifesteal in his kit even, because it's just like, why even have lifesteal? It's his skill 1 that has lifesteal. His ultimate has lifesteal as well, but like your skill 1 has lifesteal, your skill 1, his skill ain't hitting for shit. I don't see that, man. I'm just gonna go on to the next one. Licht. My opinion of Licht has actually improved over time. I thought Licht was like more so down here when he first came out, because I was like, he's just a PvP character automatically. But he does work well in PvE. I do use him sometimes in some missions here and there, but I auto battle a lot. That's another thing. I auto battle a lot of things, and my opinions are based on watching the mages auto battle and seeing like some mages do absolutely ridiculous things without me having to control them at all. That's why I think some mages are so good, right? So Licht's skill 2 actually hits really hard. His skill 1 actually hits pretty decently hard as well. Out of all the characters on this list, the only people whose skill 1 probably hit harder than like Licht, or in my use case, maybe like Julius, maybe Fuego, because he has the 30% increased damage dealt on his skill 1 if the enemy's burning, but that's if the enemy's burning. Huh? Yeah, no, I mean Licht does pretty solid damage. He's just a solid like in between option. He does solid damage with his skills. His ultimate's kind of ass. It's an AOE, but like it doesn't do the damage you think it would. Licht is definitely a single target type of damager. I'll just kind of leave it at that. Licht's old. His heyday's done, man. He was supposed to be super crazy whenever Rhya came out, because you could combo them together, and they were really crazy, but then they figured out that they accidentally put too high of a damage multiplier on their combo skill, which automatically kind of like threw him down into the rafters and kind of took away his hype that everybody was like there for. This one really hurts. This one really hurts, because I really do love Luck as a character, and I had waited so long for an SSR Luck, but this Luck has to go and not the best. Luck is not the best, not the worst, but when you look at his team, he requires a lot of extra setup, it feels like. He He gives himself counters with a skill 2. If enemies are electrocuted, he automatically gives himself 8 SP. But you have to attack the enemy that's electrocuted, I think. So the reason why I say he needs other characters. Noelle. Season, what season was it? Season 10 Noelle? Was it Vengeance and Mimosa came out for season 9. Noelle and Rhya came out for season 10, yes. Season 10 Noelle has something in her passive that pretty much makes like an attacker mage have 20% higher maximum HP. Luck gives himself 70% damage reduction whenever he's counterattacking, but that damage reduction doesn't do as much as you think because Luck is an attacker. You want to build him damage-wise, right? So he doesn't have that high defense. So instead of giving him defense reduction, they should have gave him increased defense or something like that. That would have made him a little better. You have to use Noelle to give him increased health. You have to use Vengeance to start the fight off. Season 9 Vengeance, not regular Vengeance. You have to use Season 9 Vengeance so you can start the fight off with Electrocute, so you can kind of like spam his ultimate from the start. Luck feels like he needs a lot of extra pieces to make him really, really good. Like a team with Luck, Charlotte, Vengeance, and then Noelle. That seems like the perfect team for Luck. But like it feels like Noelle and Vengeance were made exactly for Luck after the fact. And I'm just like, the fact that I need like Charlotte is not necessary with Luck. I just like to use Charlotte because Luck can add a counter onto everybody, or he can extend counters, right? With Charlotte already giving everybody counters, you can use Luck and give everybody 2 turns of counters, right? Then you can use Vengeance to further increase it to like 3 turns of counter, and then you can use like Noelle to make sure Luck's health is increased and that he's not just gonna die whenever he gets hit, right? But Luck needs a lot of other people. Luck is not somebody you can just throw on any team. Like these guys right here, solid choice. I would say realistically, all these guys could work on like general teams, like all of them. These guys are kind of like you want specific things to happen for them to be good. Magna gets. I kind of want to say solid choice. I use Magna for Guild Boss. He does not let me down. He has pretty solid damage. He has burn on his skill 1, his skill 2. Let's see. Upon attacking an enemy with burn, he stuns them for 1 turn. If he's 5-star, upon attacking an enemy with burn, inflicts stun on them for 1 turn and applies stun immunity to yourself. That 1 turn of stun on enemies who are burning is actually like really good. I've come across it in PvP multiple times and it's so annoying. You can get a lot done when a really important mage is like stunned automatically. At the start of battle, inflicts continuous burn damage on enemies. So he comes into the fight, automatically burns everybody, and then he can attack somebody with burn and then give him a stun automatically. Like he has a good kit. He has a kit that makes sense. That's what I will say. Magna has a kit that makes sense. He has burn guaranteed on his skill 1, burn guaranteed on his skill 2. He can block HP recovery on his skill 2. His ultimate attacks after removing an enemy's barrier. For every instance of burn damage an enemy is taking, attacks after granting 40% increased damage buff. Again, another kind of character that boosts his damage based on how many burns the enemies have. And also, he grants himself an extra turn if he kills an enemy. So he has that kind of like Julius mechanic. So I would say Magna is actually a pretty solid choice. Next up, we have Noelle here. Noelle, I will put Wizard King level. When she came out, she terrorized the game, destroyed the game. People were upset if they didn't have Noelle. People were laughing if they did have Noelle. Noelle with no duplicates, with you know, decent gear, can do stupid numbers. Noelle was an absolute menace. Her shield is still super annoying till this day because whenever she shields, you can give somebody of her choice a counter attack, and it's just annoying to deal with. You always want to get rid of Noelle's shield first and foremost, and you always want to get rid of Noelle first because her ultimate can still do pretty solid damage, and her skill 1 is an AoE that does pretty solid damage. So you got to be careful with Noelle. Noelle's tricky. Noelle is tough. But she was a good character when she came out, and she still is a good character now, just not as good as she used to be. Rhya, Vic Gaming, why the hell? Why the hell did you do this to Rhya? Rhya is actually one of my favorite characters, believe it or not. Rhya is, okay guys, here's the problem with Rhya. Rhya is somebody who wants to have extra buffs to make all these extra effects happen. But, oh, my package is here? Oh, that's rad. Rhya is somebody who wants to have all these extra buffs to do all these extra effects, and it seems like so it looks like you constantly want to have at least 3 buffs on Rhya. The Rhya's skill page gives him a boost to his accuracy by 62% if you have a 5-star after he does a skill, or if you have 3 buffs, you get an accuracy buff. That's so ass. That's so mid. Rhya's skill page should have been like Red Yami's skill page. Red Yami's skill page is every time a mage on your team does a skill, or if you do a skill, you get a stack of crit rate. So he keeps stacking his crit rate until it stacks up to 5 until he gets to the next wave, and then it resets. If Rhya had something like that where he constantly had 5 stacks of something on himself per wave, Rhya would be so much better. He'd always get his guaranteed effects for having extra buffs. Let's see. Skill 1. If self has a buff, performs an extra attack dealing damage equal to 30% of attack and magical attack. Alright, cool. That's fine because you only need 1 buff for that to go off. Skill 2. Oh, I have a real problem with his skill 2, but skill 3. If 2 or more buffs are active if 2 or more active buffs are present, performs an extra attack on an enemy dealing 70% of attack and magical attack. Attacks after granting 15% increased damage dealt for each active buff present. If Rhya had a skill page like Red Yami's, he would stack his crit rate up to like 5 or up to 5 times. He'll get 5 buffs, right? Not to mention all the other buffs that he's getting from all the other allies. So for guaranteed, off rip, you have 2 buffs, you're doing an extra attack, that's 70% of your attack, and you're also going to be doing 75% increased damage though, because you gave this man 5 stacks of something that he can't lose. But when you do like the accuracy thing, I still don't know to this day what accuracy really does for characters in this game. Here's my interpretation of accuracy. My interpretation of accuracy is that characters have percent chances to do certain things, and accuracy is like an extra separate percent chance proc or something, or like it adds a little more to the percent chances, but it doesn't apply it to one thing. So say for instance, you have this chance to crit, you have this chance to do damage resistance, you have this chance to do this, or maybe you have skill effects where it's like you have a chance to stun, or you have a chance to burn, you have a chance to do this. So you have a 50% chance to burn. Say your accuracy is up to like 100 or something like that. Maybe accuracy is like a ratio, and it gives you like an extra like 10% to like burn an enemy or something like that, right? That's my understanding of how accuracy could work, but I have no clear way to see how accuracy works. So when Rhya has boosting accuracy, I don't know how it really works. I'm just kind of like, I don't know. Now, my gripe with Rhya's skill 2. Rhya's skill 2, if you have his skill page, has 3 different purposes. One purpose, to do damage. Second purpose, Rhya can copy the enemy's skills or buffs. Rhya can copy 2 buffs off of an enemy. That's cool. Then you have his skill page effect. It also allows him to remove 2 buffs from an enemy after he steals the buffs. So, if you attack an enemy with no buffs, 2/3 of Rhya's skill 2 is useless. It's just a damage skill. But as we know, when you have a skill that doesn't just do damage and it does other things, the damage usually is going to be dwarfed a little bit on it because it has other effects that are seen as good. This is good for PvP, but not PvE at all. And I'm not looking for characters that I can just use on one side of the game or the other. I'm looking for characters that can be used everywhere. I'm looking for somebody on 5th leaf activity. But like Rhya's not it, man. Rhya's not there. I don't know if everybody and their mom is trying to like say Rhya's good. I know Rhya's good for like specific like dungeons and stuff like that, but like come on, bro. We don't even have the old Tower of Challenge anymore that had 100 floors. You were all past that Heath Grice stage, floor 85, I think. We're all past those times, man. I don't use Rhya for anything, literally nothing in this game, and I still get everything done that I need to get done. Rhya, why were you made? Vic Gaming, why did you do this to one of my favorite characters in BC? Black Clover, honestly. I like Rhya a lot. Okay. Speaking of 5th leaf activity, we have our first contender. Spirit Dive Yuno is an absolute menace. So, Spirit Dive Yuno comes in, he can use his ultimate instantly, as all characters can, but when Spirit Dive Yuno uses his ultimate, he automatically gives himself invulnerability. Let's see. Upon gaining Spirit Dive, grants self invulnerability for 1 turn if you have him 2-star. If you have him 5-star, grants, upon gaining Spirit Dive, grants invulnerability for 1 turn and Blessing of the Wind Spirit damage plus 10%. What is Blessing of the Wind Spirit? At the start of turn, grant yourself Blessing of the Wind Spirit. If Total Silence debuff is applied to you, it automatically gets removed once per battle. Blessing of the Wind Spirit increases damage dealt by 10%. Stacks up to 5 times. So, Blessing of the Wind Spirit stacks up to 5 times and gives you 10% increased damage dealt. That means that you can stack up to 50% extra damage dealt. If you have his, the way I'm reading this, if you have him 5-star it gets extra 10% damage dealt on Blessing of the Wind Spirit, but that still stacks up 5 times. So that means you're stacking 20% 5 times as opposed to stacking 10% 5 times. So Yuno could just be doing double damage for free once you get stacked up all the way with Blessing of the Wind Spirit. Also, using his ultimate gives him Spirit Dive, which puts him into invulnerability, but grants Spirit Dive for 2 turns. Spirit Dive unveils Yuno's true power, inflicts total silence on the enemy for 2 turns, grants self 20% increased speed. Yuno's skill 2 inflicts a 50% reduced mobility debuff on the enemy. If Spirit Dive is present on itself, inflicts silence on the enemy for 1 turn. So, Spirit Dive, works like Black Asta. If you don't have Spirit Dive, you're already doing, or no, he works differently. Black Asta is, if you don't have anti-magic, you already do this effect. If you have any anti-magic, you also do this effect. Spirit Dive, is more like a, if you don't have Spirit Dive, you do this. If you do have, I'm thinking of Noelle, the new Noelle that dropped. He kind of works in a way where it's like, if you don't have Mercury, you have a chance of doing something. If you do have Mercury, the thing that you do is guaranteed, and you do guaranteed and then some. But like Spirit Dive, functions the same as Black Asta essentially. He reduces speed a lot on enemies, and he boosts his speed a lot as well. He has that invincibility, which is super toxic. There are characters that can give extra SP. Feels like he gets his ultimate a lot more than he's supposed to be. But he boosts his speed in different parts of his kit, so he can give himself a lot of speed and get his turns back really fast. Not to mention, like, that invulnerability is everything. Because, like, literally until his next turn comes around, he's just invulnerable. He's invincible. That's not even immortal. That's like wherever his health is at the current moment, you can do your ultimate. You can do all these crazy techniques and everything. His health not moving, bro. It's not moving. He terrorizes Julius. That's for certain. He can terrorize Julius. He can do pretty. I've gone against the Spirit Dive, who was doing pretty solid damage to my Asta. My Asta still came out on top in the end of it, but like I would say it was pretty close. It was relatively close. But yeah, Spirit Dive, is a solid dude. Really fast character, highly offensive character, good control with all the silence and everything, and invulnerability makes him a little bit crazy as well too. And that Blessing of the Wind Spirit buff is really insane. Vanessa, not the best. Vanessa's not the best. Her damage works off of damage resistance. Weirdest thing ever. People aren't trying to build damage resistance in their characters. Now, granted, all you need to do is get damage resistance as one substat on a bunch of different gear pieces to get her full kit. Let me read it out to you. The whole thing that you're banking off of with Vanessa here is her passive here. If the damage resistance is equal to 205, grants 3% increased damage dealt. And I assume that all of this stacks together. That's my assumption. If damage resistance is 205, 3% increased damage dealt. If it's 270, 5% increased damage dealt. If it's 310, 10% increased damage dealt. That's just at 2-star. Let me open up the game so I can tell you what she does at 5-star, because the wiki doesn't have her 5-star information down. But I already have her 5-star. I know for certain that the thresholds for damage resistance that you need to get higher when you get her to 5-star, but also the percent increase in damage gets higher as well. So it's an even trade-off. Somebody actually asked me to do a showcase on this Vanessa, and I haven't got around to it yet because I'm still working on her gear. But like, she has a gear set. She's all level 5 skills. She has a 5-star skill page, and she's 5-star as well herself. So like, I'm almost at a point where I'm ready to kind of take it out and go ripping the road with her. But yeah, Vanessa building on damage resistance is kind of weird in my opinion. I don't know. I kind of like characters that. It would have been better if it was like, how do I say? I don't know. It just feels so weird to me. Damage resistance, building that, like, is odd. It's odd. Let me, and the reason why my kind of like notes on this Vanessa are kind of like vague, because like I really haven't used her too much. Like I use her here and there. She does pretty decent damage. I used her Guild Boss before. She kind of impressed me with the damage that she did. Let's see. All right, if you have her at 5-star, if her damage resistance is 230, you get 8% damage dealt. That's a jump from needing 205 to get 3%. Now you would need 30 to get 8%. Before you needed 270 to get 5% increased damage dealt. Now you need 310 to get 15% increased damage dealt. Then before you needed 310 damage resistance to get 10% damage dealt or increase. Now if you get her to 350 damage resistance, you get 35% extra damage increase, right? So if you have her 5-star, she can get a total of an extra 58% of damage dealt. If you have her damage resistance up to 350. And my Vanessa, just so y'all know, her damage resistance is, wait, 264? No. She's missing her gear set, that's why. What was her gear set? It had a bunch of damage resistance rolls on it. I just don't know who has it right now. That's Lux's gear set. But like, yeah, my Vanessa's gear set is at like a solid, or her damage resistance is at like 360 or something like that. So like, I already clear all the levels that you need to touch to get the extra damage resistance. Oh man, did I break her kit up? Because I used to have a full damage resistance kit with her, and now it is missing. But I'll just have to find it. That's not it. But either way, Vanessa works off of damage resistance. That's all you need to really know. She's not going to be doing damage crazy enough. Like, when I look at the rest of these characters, she ain't replacing nobody up here. Let's be real. She ain't replacing nobody up here. Shoot, she barely replaces the people in here. I don't know if she can replace, like, Luck. You know, I think I'd use Jack over her. I don't know. But, guys, we're finally at that last little quadrant of the list here. We have the 3 GOATs, the 3 Yamis. So, I think I'm going to go ahead and just throw them all in their tiers and then just talk it out. This Yami is solid choice. This Yami is... Ooh. I'll put him in solid choice as well. This Yami is Wizard King level. So, let's talk about it. This Yami is exceptional for farming. He has his AoE on his basic skill. Like I was saying, even if he's silenced, he can still get damage out to the entire enemy team. He bleeds enemies, which does that little extra bit of damage you need sometimes to kill an enemy without them getting their turn first. He has guaranteed stuns if an enemy is bleeding. He has big damage. He has good crit rate because he has a skill page that boosts his crit rate by 4.5% if you have a 5-star. Every turn that a mage does something on the team, right? Just a really good farmer. I literally go into affinity stages when I'm farming metals and I just put Yami by himself, and because Yami, also they added a counterattack to Yami, which made him way more viable as well, because now on the first turn, if he's slow, which he is, he gets attacked and he gets a counterattack off, then his turn comes around, then you can just do his regular first skill, and then you're doing a lot of big damage. This Yami gets solid choice as well. Surprisingly, I did not think very much of this Yami when he first came out, but I've been using him a little bit more. His kit is kind of cool. He has HP block. He has silence. He does pretty good damage. He's just a very basic, like, solid choice, I feel like. Whereas the other solid choices, I can kind of like point out specific things in their kit where I feel like this is what makes them a solid choice. He's kind of like you know, just all around, just like solid substandard. This Yami, oh my gosh, this Yami is an absolute demon. Honestly, bro, this Yami is an absolute demon, bro. This Yami, if silenced, it doesn't matter. His main damage is from his skill 1. His skill 1 gains how much extra damage? Let's see. Yami's skill 1 deals 50% of his attack and magical attack as extra damage, right? But the thing about it is, upon using skill 1, the number of instances of extra damage increases. So, at first, Yami is doing the initial attack and then doing 50% extra damage on it. Then, the second time you attack with him, he's doing 50% damage 2 times after the first attack. And it stacks all the way up to 4 times. That in itself can wipe the team. Like, dude, I pull up in PvP and I hit a Julius first turn with Yami's skill 1. Julius is obliterated automatically, instantly, no question asked. Alright, skill 2. Skill 2 can literally bleed the entire enemy team. If the enemy team has counterattack, Yami rips counterattack off every single unit. And if everybody's bleeding on the enemy team, Yami guaranteed is just stunning everybody on the enemy team. This, oh my gosh, the skill 2 has done a lot more for me than people would think, but no. Yami is that character where I feel like, dang, do I want to use his skill 1 or his skill 2? Both of the skills are so great. Both of them have such great benefits. You always want to build his skill 1 up first, obviously. but like his skill 2 also is a very good move. Like other characters, I'm like, I know which skills to use because like the other skills ain't gonna do much for me. Yami is that character where you're looking at his skills and you're just like, which one do I use first? All his skills are so good. His ultimate does solid damage, and it gives himself 100% of his attack as a barrier for 2 turns. Removes all instances of continuous damage from himself. Then also, when the instances of extra damage of skill 1 are added to max, it increases his defense penetration by to level 5. So he ignores 50% defense when attacking a target. And when skill 1 instances are stacked up to 4, he does 300% increased damage dealt to an enemy. I will tell you right now, I literally have not come across a black Asta yet, no matter how tanky or how offensively he's been built. I have not come across a black Asta yet in PvP who can withstand my green Yami's ultimate when I get it popped off and I have the 4 stacks. Like, Yami is an absolute menace, an absolute terror. Check out my showcase video. I actually have a showcase for Yami on my channel. He's insane. Yami's combo skill attacks after removing counterattack from a designated enemy. Okay. Yami's unique passive is grants 30% increased damage dealt when attacking a defender. So that's another reason why he just bodies black Astas. That they had to have had that in mind whenever they made him. His when you have him 2-star, at the start of a turn, grants a barrier equal to 100% of your HP for 1 turn if your SP is equal to 8. Then at 5-star, at the start of your turn, grants a barrier equal to 100% of your attack if your SP is at 8, and then applies 30% damage reduction on yourself if your SP is equal to 8, which works really well. So people were saying that Yami's shield wasn't going to give him no form of defense or nothing like that because he's a DPS and he's going to have bad defense. But what they fail to realize is that shield actually does crazy work. I have taken a black Asta ultimate before and the shield has just been not touched, basically. Like, I'm just looking at him like, okay, bro, well, I'm about to hit you and see how you take it. You always are gonna have SP plus 8 until the end of the fight, because usually, the way that the fight goes, for me at least, typically by the time I'm using Yami's ultimate, everybody else is already dead and it's like the final nail in the coffin. But like, I just keep using Yami's skill 1 because the damage is so good on it, so my SP stays at 8 the entire time, so I always get that barrier, and I always get that damage reduction because I'm always at 8 SP. Yeah, no, Yami is just an absolute demon. So, we have all the tiers here, but now it is time for me to sort amongst the tiers. I'm putting Yami over Spirit Dive Yuno. I'm gonna be real with y'all. Like, this is biased, but you have to understand where my bias comes from. I use Yami in everything and anything, and he never lets me down, never fails me, none of this, none of that. My Yuno's not 2-star yet. I've seen some 5-star Yunos. They're very annoying, but like, eventually Yami gets around to him at some point. For this tier right here, I'll put Noelle first because her shield is super annoying. Then Julius maybe because his stun is really annoying. His speed control is super annoying too. Fuego goes third though because that combo with Mario Leona is like absolutely putrid. I cannot stand it. Let's see for this tier. I'll put Yami up here because I think Yami is better than this Asta here. I kind of want you up here with these two. The physical attackers do great, honestly. Fana can get 4th place. I'd say Charmy maybe, no. Licht here, Charmy there. That stun is really nice with Magna. Maybe something like that. Then Yami. I don't think he's better than Fana. Do I think he's better than Licht? Probably. Then let's go for not the best. Maybe like Luck. Maybe Luck and then Jack if you have him like maxed out. I feel like Jack would be really impressive if you have him maxed out. Rhya is the worst of the damn worst, I feel like. Yeah, no, this is my list here. This is my list right here, man. I don't care what you have to say to me. I don't care if you want to hate on me or what. Go ahead, feel free, do it. Y'all know I love the hate. That's what makes me great. But it's your boy DEADMANVINCE. These are like just my genuine thoughts on all of these characters right here, man. Some of these characters are trash. Some of these characters are good. That's just how it is. It be like that sometimes. It is what it is, man. But I hope you guys did enjoy this video. I hope you guys could kind of see where I was coming from with some of my philosophies there. And also, remember guys, I have not used all of these characters like to as high an extent as others on this list, but I've still used every character enough to kind of like get an idea basically of how they're supposed to work. And like this is what I'm feeling right now. So hope you guys enjoyed. That's gonna be it for your boy DEADMANVINCE. Oh, we just hit the hour mark. But peace out. Y'all surpass your limits and have a nice day. Get ready for the 1st anniversary.